Hey, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jimmy. We're making it work, or we're about to. We're gonna spend a day in the shop. Once I get it opened up, we should be a little busier today. It looks like according to the appointment schedule. I know it's been kind of slow lately. We'll see what happens with all that. We're gonna do our best. We always like to learn a thing or two and have some fun. I'll tell you what, I'll put some clips in so you'll know what's gonna happen in this video before I do. Audi Q7, Dodge Ram. Shifter doesn't shifter. If you saw yesterday's video, we were working on this Mustang and a couple of little things around the shop. We've got a lot of things buttoned up. We're waiting to hear if we're gonna repair this fuse panel or replace it. But we're gonna have to do it to get it running 100%. We fixed a bunch of vacuum leaks it had in the intake. Customer broke a bolt and some things, putting parts on it himself, trying to fix the problems. But all of those Amazon parts did not fix it. The fuse, fuse panel number 47, I think it was, powers up like 10 different sensors all on one fuse, and the brake lights, so it has no brake lights either. In any event, I hope we get to fix it, because I think it'd be pretty interesting in the video to show you either the repair or replacement of that fuse panel and how everything functions afterwards. I jiggled the fuse in the fuse panel yesterday, and you could hear all the relays and the intake manifold runners going chick, 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 chick. Anyway, at the beginning I might have showed you 10 little clips of cars we're fixing today. I might have just showed you one. I don't know. I hope it's going to be busier today. We got to turn those hours around. Excuse me. We got to try to turn the hours around. The week's been kind of slow, but it is what it is. Let's get in here and get the shop open up. Stay tuned. High performance 2018 Audi Q7. Got a tire light on, but all the tire pressure's been adjusted, but it's mad. It says something about check the tires and store pressures in MMI. And I've scrolled through the screen a few times. 74,000 miles, by the way, and a love rating of 8. It's in very nice shape. I've scrolled through the memory and the cluster a few times trying to find how to reset that. I can't figure it out. So I'm not too smart. Maybe my ThinkCar 689 BT is smart enough to do it. I'm going to find tire pressure data, see if there's a tire pressure module or if it's in a body control module or whatever, and then we'll go ahead and see if we can find this MMI thing to reset. The tires have all been adjusted, so we don't have any problem there. Should put the light out, but maybe Audi cars ain't too smart. I don't know. We'll figure it out, and I'll bring that module up and we'll show you how we do it. No DTCs. Wow. Isn't that cool? One system found, no DTCs. Well, I want to see adaptation. See if there is a tire pressure adaptation PID. Every manufacturer does things just a little different. So you got to start from scratch like you don't know anything that you're doing and figure it out each time. It makes the job more exciting. I just searched air pressure. It says nothing. You're out of luck. Tire pressure monitoring. Monitoring 2. Maybe there's a tire pressure monitoring 1. There it is. Alright. Alright, it won't let me talk to any TPMS modules. So we're going to try special functions. And we're going to try tire pressure reset. I'm going to try brake electronics because it wouldn't find a TPMS module. Menu's not applicable to this vehicle. Okay. I'm going to try it again. And I'll pick the other selection. Menu not applicable. Okay. So we can't do it. It won't communicate. I'm wondering if it's got a Chrysler style gateway block. But we won't know for sure till we try this. TPMS. If it doesn't do something within about 10 seconds, it's probably going to time out again. But we'll see. Excuse me. Yep, it's gonna say no communication. Okay. Oh, I can't talk to the Audi. It's interesting. It gets the VIN, sees the vehicle, but won't talk to any modules. I do a health report. It says 1 module found. I'll grab another scan tool if it won't do it and see if another scan tool will do it. Not equipped with an engine computer. Okay. And I got a launch extender You guys know I don't like taking a risk on leaving a dongle in a car. Do this. See if the Phoenix Light 2 will talk to it. Howdy. Okay. Got my Bluetooth plugged in. Cord's kind of cool. It has a little memory to it. So you're not going to forget that too easy. Let's see if we can get any progress though. Help this customer get their pesky light out. If it starts off with a no comm when we're done, we'll see. Oh, found a code in ECM. This one is talking to it. Thank goodness the top down talked to it all. System list. We got codes. I want to see if it shows a TPMS module, but I don't think it will. It's going to be in a different module, probably like the brakes. Let's go into that, see what the codes are. Read DTC. Right front tire. C105700 tire pressure warning. So I just wanted to make sure that was going to be the right module. We're going to clear all the codes, then we'll go in the car and see if the light's out. Keep in mind, I'm really surprised this won't talk to it, because this is also a fairly expensive scanner compared with this one, which is only a couple $100 more. It's also much larger. The screen's about the same size, but I really like the top down. Has a lot of cushion around the outside if you drop it or something. Not that I drop scanners often, but you never know. You get in a rush, it can happen. Right front tire pressure warning. Enter. I'm gonna have to clear that directly in the module. Maybe turn the key off and back on. Sometimes you'll have to drive them so it can see the sensor moving. Let's see. Turn the key off. Turn the key back on. See if our tire light's out. Loss of pressure. Check all tires and store pressures in MMI. Alright, I gotta find out where my MMI is. Special functions in that brake control module, probably. If this was like a GM or Toyota, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as complicated. It's why a lot of mechanics don't like some of these European cars. Now, an Audi mechanic probably goes right into this MMI thing, does it, and you're done. But someone who's not working on them all the time goes, where's that? What's MMI stand for? I don't know. We'll see if we find a special function. Actuation test, data stream. Let's see if we can bring up tire pressure sensor data. It's not in alphabetical order, so we'll go like this. Tire pressure, fourth last, second last, passive, active, right front tire pressure warning. Okay. And we'll see. Adaptation. No. Basic settings. Alright, I'm going to take it for a drive and see if the light goes out. I'm a little sad about it, but that's how it's going to have to be. Alright, in this line of work, you can't let yourself get frustrated. There's nothing in the steering wheel controls that would ever let you mess with the what they call MMI. None of the scan tools would do it. I thought there was going to be no way to do it without some kind of Audi scan tool. Then I said, you know what? These things have this cool display up here. I wonder if that's what MMI is. So after some poking around in the menus and scrolling through all kinds of silly stuff, I finally found how to reset service stuff. Service and checks. You go into that, tire pressure monitoring. You click on that, it says reset tire pressure. Yep. And it resets it. Where every other vehicle on the planet, you adjust the tire pressure and you drive it, it turns the light out for you. This one makes you manually go in and tell it that what it sees is correct, and you've adjusted the tire pressure, that it can believe the readings from the sensors, I guess. I'm not really sure why it needs to be so complicated, but I also don't own an Audi, so not my concern. There you go. It's done. The light's out. The customer will be happy. But why is this not letting me go? God, I love these cars. Alright, that was my fault. I had the door slightly ajar. Then I realized that and closed the door and it still wouldn't go. I had to put it in park and then back and drive. And then it let me go. People love these cars, but maybe that's the problem. When you don't like something, it's gonna be more frustrating, right? You gotta learn to love everything. Even Audis. ...2007 Dodge Ram. She looks a little worse for wear, a little beat up, sitting out in the sun and stuff, but check this out. 39,376 original miles. Love rating of 5, about average. Super low mileage for the vehicle. Check engine lights on. Another shop told them they have a P0443, but couldn't figure out why they have it. Was it another shop? I think that's what they said. Oh, O'Reilly's. O'Reilly's gave them a free diagnostic. I mean, a code scan. P0443. I'm going to put our scanner on it and see if we get the same intel. Well, let's see if the old Think Car likes a 2007 Dodge Ram. Better than an Audi. Oh, by the way, when I was using this on the Audi, it was at 1% battery. You got to charge it up. 2007 Dodge Ram. Look at that thing. These are really bad. 443 is an EVAP code. I forget exactly which one it is, what it's for, but these are bad for the rubber hoses on the purge valve, dry rotting and splitting and stuff. But we're going to see what the code is for sure, and then we'll tackle that. P0443 EVAP Purge 1 control circuit. That means it's not happy with the wiring to the purge valve. It's not saying when it turns the purge valve on, it can actually monitor if it's sending out a 5 volt or an 8 volt power to the purge valve. When it activates it on the ground side, it'll see the surge on the power side. If it doesn't like what it sees, it sets a code like this. So it's not happy about a control circuit. Could be unplugged, something like that, if someone worked on it recently. So I'll send them a report on all these. We'll jump in there and take a look. Another thing I really like about this scan tool, when you get a code, not every vehicle will have this information, but some do, some don't. When you click on details, it'll try to help you figure out why you have that code. Evaporative emission system canister purge volume control solenoid uses on-off duty cycle. The canister volume control solenoid valves moved on and off with pulses. The longer the on pulse, the greater the on time. Faulty purge solenoid control emissions purge solenoid harness. Shorted or open purge control solenoid poor electrical connection. Check possible causes above. Visually inspect related wiring harness and connectors. Check for damaged components. Look for broken, bent, pushed out, or corroded connector pins. So like I was talking about earlier, it's seeing a wiring problem. We just got to investigate and find out why. If it's not something obvious like unplugged when someone worked on it, then we'll have to get a meter out of some kind and check for powers and grounds and see what's going on with all that. I went ahead and cleared all the codes in the meantime, and we'll shut the key off and we'll take a look. I've already sent all the reports, so we've got it all documented. This is our purge valve, right, y'all? It's got like a dampness to it or something very strange. The power steering reservoir looks like it might have been changed. It's the cleanest thing under the hood, I know that much. It's interesting, it is plugged in. That doesn't mean too much though. Let's get a voltmeter. We'll turn the key on. We'll use the scanner to command the purge valve to cycle. We'll see what happens. It could even be just a purge valve that's open circuit. So if the purge valve's open inside, the coils that make it function, if they're open, it's just like it's unconnected. So the computer will see it that way. Let's get a meter. Let's hook up the AND cell and we'll do some testing with that. Hot set. We're going to pick oscilloscope. Duty cycle. That'd be interesting. We can do that. We'll hook up to, there's 2 wires there. Power and ground. I don't know which one's which, but we'll find out. Not going to hurt anything to hook it up and see. And if it reads negative voltage and we switch them, I'll get some back probes and hook this all up and we'll come back. I got this set. Seems to work pretty well. It's a 2-lathe set. The AES wave company sells real similar things to this. They're quite a bit more expensive, probably higher quality a little bit. It's hard to tell looking at it. For me, these work great. Something like this from the AES Wave website is like, you know, $90, and this is like 20 bucks on Amazon. So if you're doing a ton of this stuff, you're probably better off getting the more expensive version. But when you're doing it like me and you're taking this out once or twice a month, it's no reason to, because I could buy 5 sets of these, you know. That's personal preference. There's no right or wrong. Although some people get mad if you don't do it the same way. They'll be okay. A little pat on the head and some hot cocoa, and they'll feel better. Sure, I make a lot of noise there, Bill. That one. I gotta turn the key on still. I'm gonna plug this in. Let's get the scanner up on the purge control, bi-directional test mode, and we'll work the purge valve with the scan tool, see what this shows us is happening. If it's getting good power and ground, the purge valve is just bad. Alright, we're going into PCM. We're going in actuation test. Fuel injector, ASD relay, fuel pump relay, alternator duty cycle, O2 sensor heaters, proportional purge solenoid. Let's look and make sure we're on the right one. I'm guessing proportional purge solenoid is the EVAP. Select the way to start the actuator. Let's go 20%. And listen for it to click, see if anything happens with our voltage. Hopefully we're on the right component. Let's go like this. I'm going to switch these. So something's happening. It's kind of strange. They usually click, they don't buzz. Let's tap it with something. Our voltmeter is doing some stuff. That thing is definitely buzzing. I wonder if it's shorted. Let's unplug it. That's the scope screen. Now with that scope screen up, I should be able to see something better. Let's go to 20%. If I have a good connection, I gotta mess with my connection a little bit, probably. I'm already thinking there's something going on where it's not cycling. Let me mess with these connections a little bit, try to get it up on the screen. Okay, I wasn't getting a good contact back probing. Now I'm in the front of the device, seeing what we can see here. That's pretty cool. It's giving you a waveform to show you, like a scope. It's replicating what a scope would do so that you can get a visual on the voltage, peaks and valleys. Let's move our cursor so you can see we're at 1 millisecond, 2 milliseconds. Now you can see the duty cycle of the purge valve. The PCM is opening and closing it. It might not sound like it or look like it. Now if we change this duty cycle on the screen here, we should get a different duty cycle on. It'll take a second. Should be changing. We'll go down to 10%. Minimum 11.2, maximum 90. So if we go back and see if we clear this out, now I'm going to go up to 50%. Just to see a big difference. You can see 50%, it's the minimum is 42.4, so the computer's trying to work it. That purge valve is no good. So this is not working, the purge valve is bad. Should be pretty easy. I'd really like to get one, see if we have one laying around the shop I could plug in as a test and see if it'll cycle a different purge valve. Make sure the circuits haven't been damaged and they're still capable of doing it. Oh, I wanted to point out too, I forgot, but I probably should have used it comes with test leads and things you can plug in. I've never used them, so we're finding this out together. Plug in on the side. I believe that's for 5 volts only. I'm going to look in the instructions to make sure, but it comes with pretty cool leads for doing those kinds of tests without the probes that I have. Got banana jacks right here. That's pretty cool. And find out where those plug in because those are different. I'll tell you what, it feels so light in your hand. I wish it had a little more heft to it, but it seems very capable so far. Kind of similar to the power probe, but it doesn't feel as robust in your hand. It actually does more things than the power probe does. We have to try running a window motor or a blower motor and see if it can handle doing something like that. It does come with some cool accessories like piercing probes and things as well. Doesn't have any actual back probes, but it has connections for it. What these do too, I might have showed you earlier, these recess. So they protect them when they're not plugged into something. Pretty cool. Now you see instructions do come in handy. This is for relay testing functions that it has. I think I went past that screen and showed you the screen. I haven't tested a relay with it yet, but we'll do that. And this is for the piercing connection. So what I could have done is instead of putting in the long probe here, I could have just plugged these in. They plug right into the top of this. So you can hook this up and not have to hold everything together. Although I use an alligator clip on the tip of this, which also works too. And I like to keep my covers on these things when they sit. Sometimes I might go 3 months without using this. Sometimes I use it 3 times in a day. So when I'm stored, I try to put everything back reasonably well so it's all there next time and not corroded or anything from sitting in the harsh Central Florida environment. So we'll test some relays with this thing too. So far it's been pretty cool. The only complaint I could say, this does feel kind of cheap and light in your hand, but if it works, it works. Alright, we got a new purge valve coming. This just has a little, if I can get it, got a little push tab, slide it off the bracket. I'm going to plug the purge valve in, make sure it works, make sure everyone's going to be happy. Got some weight to it too. Just flip this over to get it off the purge valve and then put it back in here. It'll snap on the new one. We got a sweet, sweet new purge valve from the Napa store. Plug that in. Plug that in. Slide it onto our bracket here. It's hard to see. There it goes. Now, electrical plug. We can fire this thing up, put it in bi-directional test mode again. We're also going to do a decarb in service or induction service as well. The customer wanted to do that. So I put an additive in the tank. I'm going to put this in our little dispenser. I already got hooked up to the brake booster hose with a little T. We'll put this fluid in there, we'll fire it up, and while it's doing that, we'll check that purge valve operation. It's a lot darker than the one we used to use. We used to use the Winds. I don't know who this is, but it should do a decent job. Hopefully, it's just a very harsh chemical that softens carbon and makes it go out through the catalytic converters. I mean, the exhaust. Not sure if that shows up, but there's a little tiny fixed orifice in here in this one. My other one with the adjustable orifice, I can't find, but I also have this as a backup. It actually controls how fast it goes. It's not up to you. And it takes a long time. That gives us time to play with the purge valve and see how that's working. I'm not sure if it's going to let me do it with the engine running now that I think about it, but we'll see. Some require the engine running, some require it not to. I'm going to tell it 20%. The engine running status, need running or not, temperature too low. So it's got to warm up a little bit more. It also may want me to shut it off. So I'm going to let it warm up a few minutes. If it still won't do it, I'll have to do key on engine off, and then we'll just start the induction service afterwards. I might just let it run out and then do it. But we're going to do it one way or another. Alright, induction service is done. Now we can try out our purge valve. 20%. 40%. It's still buzzing, which is kind of strange, but I could put a vacuum gauge on it and see if something changes when I turn the duty cycle on and off. Let's do that. Yeah, I got my vacuum pump hooked up. I'm going to see if it holds a vacuum. It's at 50% right now, so it shouldn't hold a vacuum, which is what it's doing. And then if I go to 0, I should be able to pull a vacuum on it. I can pull a vacuum. So it's working. So it's just, I'm used to it going click, 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 click. It's buzzing. Kind of strange, but it is what it is. It's working. Until I have to turn it on, I can't pull a vacuum. Until I turn it off, I can. Seems pretty simple. I'm going to take this thing for a quick drive. Customer's anxious to go, asking what's going on. So let's pull this thing for a little road test, pull it around, and see what's next. Uh-oh, Chevrolet van. Shifter doesn't shifter. And the transmission's not working. I see handprints everywhere. That means someone's been working on it. Oh, that's easy. There it is, broken. Needs a shifter cable. That was easy. I like a quick, easy diag once in a while. Can't even fix that one, it's broken. Sometimes we'll put a bushing or something in that eyelet when the bushing breaks, and now the whole cable eyelet is broken. The old mud stain from yesterday. If you didn't see that video, the sockets in the fuse panel right here are worn out really bad, and I'm assuming this guy bought the car from somebody. They had bent the fuse to try to get it to stay tight in the worn out sockets. Not really the best way to fix it. So what I'm going to do is open this fuse panel up now. The customer wants to spend a couple hours taking a look, seeing if we can patch up what he's got instead of buying a fuse panel. If I can't, then we're going to have to, and we won't have a choice, right? But we're going to try. I think these are 7s or 8s, and that's a 10. So there's electrical connectors. I might be able to take it completely out, disassemble it on the bench, and we'll see what we got. Got the negative terminal off. There's a couple of clips. Four of them. We got no business hanging out here. Alright, man. There you go. Put these back in their little holes. They got little nests in here. You see the slots, so you can't mix them up and all. Now the problem's not in these connectors. The connectors don't take the fuse. The fuse goes in this top half. So now I have to open this next piece up and see if I can get into that. I hope I can, because it'd be really cool to be able to fix this for them. Worst case scenario, I can solder a remote fuse holder. I can solder it to those two legs and the fuse will float around in here, that's all. Yeah, I don't know what this thing costs. It could be 70 bucks, it could be 700, it could be 1700. Let's try to get it opened up. I'm gonna take a picture of it. So now I got a picture, I know where all my fuses go. I can pull all these out, see if I can get the cover off. And I'll also kind of try to lay them in line, but might need something for that. This is made for trim, but they work. One more bolt?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this one's got 6. Should I say, that one got 6 bolts? Invented. You're like, listen, man, I gotta tell you some stuff.
I'll leave it at that.
Like, man, Jimmy won't shut the fuck up. Thinks he's famous YouTuber now. It's all gone right to his head.
Free shit. He's got this cool little pancake thing. I don't know what you call it.
He's got a pancake thing.
He's got this air pancake.
Kill me, bro. Circuit breakers. These might be holding it together. Those sons of guns are going to make this non-serviceable, aren't they? All right, you guys probably spotted the one leg right here that's getting a little hot in that back corner. I already bent this pin a little tighter, so it was getting hot. So I took out the plastic here so I can get my tool underneath and pull that finger a little bit more. Once it's fatigued, it really needs to be replaced, but we're gonna get crazy trying to replace this connector, and so we're trying to patch it up for him. That's basically what he wants to do. And this is not serviceable. Ford saw their way clear to roll over the shoulder here and roll over the shoulder here. So if you wanted to get this apart, you got to cut all this stuff out. If I roll this underneath, you get some pliers. If I roll that underneath, grab it by the shoulder here, and then when you roll it here, so there's two pieces of plastic, and this is all metal bus bars, and they're crimped together. After they assemble it, they roll those ends over so that you can't take it apart without destroying everything. But I got a plan. I got my soldering iron, got my plastic fantastic cutting blade. This is where the bad sockets are. I'm going to cut this out so I can see if I can get something soldered in there or not. The fuse panel's already destroyed, so we're either going to be able to patch it up doing this or we're not. Those are our two options, and hopefully keep people from being sad. We'll see what we can get done. Well, the guy with the shifter cable on the van's not sounding like it's going to work out. He wants us to fix it for 30 bucks. So he's like those people you see on the internet, have no idea what it takes. They just know they don't want to pay you. So I think they might fire that customer because he's being kind of nasty on the phone. Let that cool a little bit. I'll cut the other side. If you look at the wiring diagram, it's designed so that you can't bypass the fuse panel either, because the relay that powers up this fuse is controlled by the PCM, and it's internally wired, so it gets power from another leg of the fuse panel that's internally wired to power up the fuse, so there's no external bypass. Pretty cool. Well, that's sarcastic, but this is too thick to use a box cutter or something too. We can get this out of here. Might have to cut some more of it up. Now we're getting somewhere. I really feel secure doing it with a knife. I'll try some more soldering iron action. All I want to do is get enough of those tabs exposed that I can solder to them. And I don't want to mess up all the other fuses. Some stuff is happening. Ooh, there's little tiny wires in there. I didn't really want to see that. Not sure if that all shows up, but hopefully none of these have broken in there. I feel like they might have. That could cause some trouble. Not sure what other circuits that's going to affect. Something broken in there. I think we're going to have to get a fuse panel, but that's the end of it right there, because whatever that was attached to or glued to the plastic underneath, and it broke when I pulled that piece of plastic out. And that goes probably to a different fuse, I'm going to guess. That's why they call it a bus panel. Now what I was trying to do is get to where I could solder on these two legs, but I'm not sure what all these went to. Let me ask them if they want me to spend more time trying to patch this up or just get a fuse box, because this is not going to work, I'm thinking. I'll get this one working, and then whatever this goes to. But obviously, like I said, Ford designed this so you can't fix it. They want you to just buy another one. And I'm not even sure where it's made, but it doesn't say. In any event, it looks like they're probably going to sell one, because I don't want to do a lot of work and then find out other circuits don't work because of this. That's a problem. All right, I'm done with it, I think, unless they're desperate. And the problem is, if I spend an hour and a half trying to patch this all up, putting it back together, and then something else doesn't work, we didn't get anywhere. This is why, you know, when I see a lot of channels bragging about not needing any parts, they fixed what they had to work with. You know, that's all great, but in reality, it's time management, and it makes great videos. It's just not realistic most of the time, because you end up with a big mess and other problems. I got it soldered on. I did it kind of quick, just an experiment, and we're gonna have to get a fuse panel for it, like I mentioned earlier. I got it all tightened down, got the cable back on, got my phone opened up with my P0443. This is how the wiring works in this thing. The PCM relay is in the fuse box to fuse 47, and it goes out to all the red and yellow components on the circuits like we mentioned earlier. And I'm not sure those little bits of wire were glued or stuck to the bottom of this plastic upper cover, and whatever that broke is going to be a circuit that probably doesn't work. What I'm suspecting is they might be monitoring circuits, so when it powers a fuse on, it gets confirmation that it did it, so it will set a code if something doesn't work like that circuit wise. I'm not sure, but I figured I'd fix this anyway. I got nothing else to do, and we'll try that, put the fuses and all back in, and see what happens as an experiment while we wait for a fuse panel. Discontinued from Ford, so sketchy part that they decided, hey, we'll stop making them, people just buy a new car. This is the problem with some of these cars from the early 2000s and 90s, stuff like this. If you have one of those cars and it goes bad, you better hope you can find a good used one, because there's no other option. Anyway, I'm gonna start putting my fuses back in according to my picture, and we'll fire it up, see how it goes. I do have to put a fuse in here. Listen, man, takes a larger fuse, but it's what we had on hand, so I figured I would try it. All right, I got my fuse panel reassembled. That 10 I couldn't see in the P0443, but I took my picture like this, so the 10 was behind that, I think. It's really the only place I couldn't see clearly. I'm gonna get my scanner hooked up, we're gonna talk to it, clear some codes, see if they come right back or not with the key on, the engine off. Hopefully it doesn't let any smoke out. We'll head into our powertrain control module. Read fault codes. Nope, codes. Let's do a key on engine off test, see what it says. There's memory, key on engine off, key on engine running. It's running the fan and testing things, making sure everything is happy. We could also cut to the chase. Mass airflow out of self-test range. P1101. We could also get a voltmeter, and anywhere that voltage comes from that fuse, see if there's voltage there, like the solenoids. I brought up my mass airflow voltage. My intake air temperature is in the mass air, and my heater in my O2 sensors, remember it had codes for all 4 oxygen sensor heaters because of the fuse connection. Let's fire this thing up. I don't see any smoke yet. Maybe we can make it smoke on its own. A little bit of that Ford blue oval smoke. kind of data we got out there now. Oh, you know what we could also do? Put the hood prop on the brake pedal and see if we got brake lights. It's also on the same fuse. But we got whatever brake lights were working. The outside one's out. That's why the blinker blinks fast. So my fuse repair actually worked, but I still don't like the way I had to do it because those little copper wires concern me that were in there. But the system is working. We got mass air now. We got heaters. We got intake. Let's go see if we got any pending codes again. Read fault codes. No codes. So I think I have fixed it, but I'm still going to want to replace the fuse panel just because my repair is super sketch. I do not like doing that kind of stuff. I know a lot of people would brag that they saved a fuse box, but you can buy these fuse panels for about 150 bucks and not have to worry about soldering connections. And that little scooter is hauling. You know, when you do this kind of thing on your own car, that's one thing, but to do it professionally for a customer, that's a whole different story. I'm gonna let them know it's working, let them know it needs a fuse panel still. I think I got to reiterate it. It doesn't really seem to be sinking in too well, but we'll see what we can do. Unleash the Ford ponies. All right, we got no codes, runs great on the road. We got no check engine light. So like I said, I have fixed it, but I prefer to replace the fuse panel, and we'll see what happens with that. Sometimes it's not up to me. I might have mentioned that once or twice. Well guys, that's where we're leaving it for today. Slow day, man. I'm not it's just not going great this week. I apologize if the content's been kind of sketch. We're doing what we can. We had a couple interesting repairs this week so far and today, so you know, all we can do is keep rowing and do our best to make it work, right? That's what we do around here. That's the whole point. So I hope you enjoyed it enough to maybe torque the like button before you head out, or check out the Amazon store or something. Whatever you can do to help, I appreciate it. Even just leaving a comment below, clicking the subscribe button if you're new, all that helps. So either way, more than anything though, I really do hope I see you in the next video, because you're awesome.